Okay, hopefully you've had
Sadly,
time to
this
look
is
through
Miss
for some with
Martin,
curly
and we're
tops.
just decorating our Christmas tree.
Your last
Completing
chance
the
to
finishing
find them
touches. We've got the
because
lights on already. I cannot think of a better symbol of Christmas than
it
a Christmas
happens to be
tree.
next to another
So,
tree that I thought of
whether you
like
just want to
stacking
draw
up
a
ice
Christmas tree
cream
for
from a soft
Christmas,
serve
or if you
machine.
would like to draw it as part of your Gaddy Christmas card, that's what I'm going to work on in this video, is different ways we can draw a Christmas tree.
So we're going to start by looking at some trees I drew. And we're going to play a little game to help us look carefully because when we just look at something, we often don't think about it. So this is going to be kind of a hide and seek type game. And I'm going to ask you a question and you look through these trees and find the one that would be the answer to the question, or sometimes more than one. So your first hide and seek question is to find a simple tree that is drawn with just one triangle. As you look, you may find a triangle that has a few decorations, but it's basically the shape of a triangle. And if you haven't found it yet, I'm about to put a circle around it. Now I want you to look for at least 3 trees that don't have trunks. I think there are only 3 trees that don't have trunks. Let me look around myself. So a lot of these trees have trunks. A trunk is like the stick at the bottom of the tree that holds it up, if you don't know that word. And most of the trees have a little stick showing, but there are several that don't. Here come the red circles. Here they are. There are actually 4 trees that don't have trunks because I missed that swirly one the first time I was counting and wrote down 3. All right. Now I want you to look for trees with curly tops. And we may interpret this differently. You may find different trees than I have. But I saw 2 trees with a distinct curl on the top that made me think of that. There are a lot of other trees that have curves too. But right beside them, there are several trees with curls near the tops. You may have selected those. Nothing wrong with that. There isn't exactly a right or wrong answer. What we're doing here is looking more closely at all the trees. Now, one of these trees, when I drew it, I thought about hearts and stacking upside down hearts. See if you can spot a tree that is made of upside down hearts. So this is the one I drew while I was thinking of upside down hearts. The one right beside it, I think looks like the top. If I drew an ice cream cone on the bottom, it would look like a giant Dairy Queen ice cream. Now I want you to look. In real life, trees often look what I'd call a little shaggy, a little hairy. They have pine needles. So look through this drawing and see if you can find several trees that look shaggy or kind of hairy, like they're covered with pine needles. Some of them are very smooth, some of them are made of circles, some of them are made of swirls, but there are quite a few I drew that have needles showing, and they look very shaggy. So we can see that there are a lot of different ways you can draw a Christmas tree, and it still looks like a Christmas tree. One of the things that makes a Christmas tree a little different from an evergreen is often putting a star or an angel on top. So I think this is the last challenge. Look for a tree with a star on top. I'll give you a hint. This tree is not much more than a squiggle with a star on top. I didn't think it looked like a Christmas tree, until I added the star on this one. And there's the one that has a star on top. A little later, I'm going to make another video that shows how to draw Christmas stars because I love drawing them too. But for today, we're going to go through and draw a kind of a classic drawing of a Christmas tree. It's going to be one of the kind that's stacked. So right now, hopefully you've got your pencil and your paper ready. I advise you to turn your paper up and down to the portrait position. And we're going to be starting our tree at a point on top of the tree. And you don't want to put your point right at the top edge of the paper because you might want room to draw that angel or the star on top, or even sky and stars behind it, or snowflakes. So you want to come to the middle of the top of your page and bring your pencil down just a little bit, and you can make a dot there. That's going to be the top of your tree. Now, from this point, we're going to draw the top section of our tree. We're going to make a line that goes down and out on one side, and then make a line that goes down and out at the other side. You can make this line straight. I a lot of times like to make mine with a slight amount of a curve, so that's what you see here. After you've drawn those 2 lines, I'll give you a minute to draw them from the point down and out, from the point down and out. Then you have to decide how you want to design the bottom of each section of your tree. I'm going to draw this one with little loops. They're kind of like little smile lines hooked together, just little lump, 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 or little loop, loop, loop. But if you prefer, you can just make kind of a curved line across it, or you can make a line that does loop-de-loos. But for this version of the tree, I'm just going to draw little lumps on the bottom. I think it's a really nice look. By now, you should have your two curves down. Choose the style for the bottom of your tree, or for the bottom of each section of your tree, and go ahead and draw it on your tree. If you have to pause the video, if I'm going too fast on the video version, you can always pause it. So for the next section of the tree, we're going to do the same kind of thing, but we're not going to start from the point in the middle. We're going to start from a point near the edge of the top section. Let me show you. So you'll make a line that goes down and out near one edge of the tree. I like to let the top part of this tree hang over a little bit. I don't want to start right at that very point. I want to come in and start down a little bit and then make down and out. And since I made curvy lines last time, I'm making curvy lines this time. If you did straight lines, you'll probably want to do straight lines again. Now, however you made, if you made it smooth or with lumps or with little wiggles, however you made the bottom of this first section, you're going to make the bottom of your second section kind of like that. And since I did the kind of smiley shapes that bump together, hump, hump, bump, bump, that's what I did. And so now we have two sections on our tree. We're going to do this over and over. Do another section, and we're going to keep adding it until our tree is the height we want, and it'll fill up most of our page. We'll start just a little bit in from that last corner, go down and out on each side, and then make our lumpies across the bottom. And we'll do this probably 3 or 4 times. Oh, if I moved a line there and forgot I did that. Lines that go down and out, lumpies across. Lines that go down and out, lumpies across. When you get all the layers you want on your tree, you're going to add a little trunk on the bottom if you want to. You don't have to have the trunk. Remember, several of the ones in my other drawing didn't have trunks. But if you want a trunk, you can make it as simple as 2 straight lines down. But especially if you want to draw your tree more natural, like it's outside, it's good to curve them out just a little. I like that look, where it curves out just a little at the bottom. But the trunk is optional. That means if you don't want a trunk, you can leave it without it. And that pretty much completes the drawing portion of your tree. At this point, you could add little stars on it, or tree lights, or garland, which are little strings of sparkles across it. So you can decorate your tree any way you want. And here are some different ways trees following these same directions can look. Now realize, when we all do the same directions to draw a tree, yours is not going to look just like mine. You may have made one with all smooth that looks like this. You may have made one that gets lots of layers and goes really wide that looks like this one. Maybe you made a skinny tall tree with a long trunk. If not, you can think about it. I think it's a good idea to practice drawing lots of trees before you choose which one you might want to use for a final Christmas card design, or even for a decoration. I really like the little loopy-loos on the bottom of this one. I went down, up, around, down, up, around, down, up, around. And that came out really cute on that tree. You might like that on one you draw. So it's pretty neat that we can follow the same directions over and over and get really different things. Now enjoy decorating and coloring in your tree. Remember, there are lots of ways you can color this, but one of my favorite ways is to outline with marker and then color in with crayon or color pencils. It gives you nice solid lines to color up to, and a really neat look when you do that. Some people work neatly with marker and like to do the whole thing that way. Some people hate marker and like to just darken the edge with color pencil. But those sort of things are your choice. You can do it any way you want. Have a great time drawing Christmas trees. You may want to do like me and draw a whole sheet full of trees and then pick out your favorite one to make a final design. Have a great week, guys. And remember that if you're in one of the older grades, you'll need to send me a picture of what you're doing in order to get credit for your week's art. If you're in a younger grade, in kindergarten, first or second, you don't need to send me anything. I'm always glad to see it, but you don't have to send it in the lowest grades for credit. Have an awesome week, guys.